And we're live. Howdy, everyone. I'm the Shadow of the Hawk. Sorry that I'm late. I was distracted by school, and this is going to be a very short stream because I've got Game of Thrones, Monday night's Game of Thrones, immediately after this stream. So we started late. We got to end at the time earlier than normal, so we're not gonna have a lot of time. But before we do that, so before we get into building this place, which I think I really like, we got like this area somewhat down. I want to fill out the lore of the rival cities. I want to get down on the deep level and start adding in some towns and stuff like that, and like just really fleshing out the lore of the rival cities and the line. But before we do that, I need to add some communists because I made a promise. I'm adding some communists. Now, we got some commies here. It's only fair that we put some communists. Let me see. Where do I want? We'll put some communists here. We'll put some communists right here. Now, for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter and are wondering, Shadow, why are you adding communists? Why are you adding more communists? Well, the reason for that, more communists, is so I've got a running challenge going where I need to run 5 days a week, 3 miles each of those runs, and it needs to be a specific time. If I'm unable to meet those goals, I add more communists to this world. So we have more communists. So I don't really know what is going on with them here, but there are more communists in this world. They're in the mangrove forest. They'll probably be lizards. Anyway, let's get back to the rival cities. Let's talk the rival cities. Now, we know that this is like a major trade area. We also need to discuss where humanity comes from. So, in some of the lore, I established that that humans came from elves. If we check, it was definitive lore right here. We scroll down to. Did I include that here? Okay, I don't think I wrote it down, but basically, at a certain point, mankind is going to the merfolk before the elves show up are going to basically rise out of the seas, and they are going to begin building colonies on land. And then over time, these people, as they get like further and further inland, are going to stop being merfolk because they're not near the ocean, and then eventually these people are going to drive the merfolk off the coastlines because racism and take over the coastlines again. And then the elves are going to come out of nowhere and basically do the same thing, but there's nowhere for the humans to go, so they just get genocide. The hobgoblins and the elves and the dragonborn are just going to genocide them because funnies, for the lulz, for the memes. With that context, but there's Tritons here. So the humans would have had to migrate. They couldn't have come from here because this is the Triton Sea. And then there's no humans there. Okay, so that would mean the humans would have had to come from the people who crossed over here. They came from here. And they probably would have been doing stuff with the dwarf hold, come down the river, and then made the first of the rival cities. Okay, so why would a bunch of humans do that? Why would a bunch of humans? So this is Samaria. This is where a bunch of really angry, violent humans live. Why would humans? So they'd have to come from up here, which isn't. I mean, there's this. I could do a 12 Tribes of Israel thing, but these are merchants, and I feel like that might be a little bit anti-Semitic, so we're not going to do that. So they're going to have come from here. So we got like humans doing human things. Actually, they could have just gone over this mountain, sailed down the rivers, settled down the rivers, settled a few towns here. This happened, and then trade just started being a thing, and then this city built. Yeah, I like that. The Great Migration. So we got the migration came from here. So these over here would be some of the older cities in this part of the world. These would be. So this is going to have some of the. So I'm going to say. This here and this up here are the oldest parts of human civilization. This are gonna have some of the oldest parts of human civilization. There, and then everything that's like over here is then this is like the next stage of human civilization as they like cross the rivers and move into this territory and stuff. And then this is like the third wave of human civilization where everything's a lot less young. So right here, this is going to be. Let's think about some years. So if we look at this, so this would be happening That's the kingdom of edgers. Definitive lore. Okay. Humans. When would humans come into the world? About this time, new races were born from the horrors of the conflict. Merfolk who spent too much. I don't have my microphone plugged in. My audio is sounding like shit. I just realized. Hold on, let me fix that. All right, let me get okay. My mic, I got the good mic on now. We're good to go. We're good to go. Let's do this. So, uh, Merfolk who spent too much time on land in the wars and building their fortresses lost the ability to return to the sea. The first of the kingdoms, formed of this, called Man, led by a general known as Adam, and so for all time, this race was known as Man. Was known as Man. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's pretty cool. So then, what other races do we have? So we have the Goliaths, the Warborn. Okay, then we have the Warborn. The Warborn became divided. The ones high in the mountains became mighty fortress makers and warsmiths, hunting out resistance from crows and lost Goliath tribes. The ones in the plains became clans, civilization builders. And the ones sent to burrow into the earth shrunk in size and became the kobolds. Okay, hold on. And became the Gnarlithe. Gnarlithe are a third-party race that I really, really like the lore of, and so I try to include them into my settings whenever I can. Howdy, Anderson. How you doing? Yeah, there's Commies. They were known as the Dragonborn. Yeah, no. So I'm just, yeah. So the new communists are here. I got no idea where we're putting them, or I had no idea what they are. Excuse me. I'm just updating the definitive lore to include humans and some of the other stuff. What were the others? It doesn't matter. Okay, so the lore that I've basically established now is the human colonization was basically this chunk here, stopped by the mountains. I mean, technically, Germany should be hyped up, seeing as Marx was a German, if I remember right. This area was also colonized by humans, and then eventually this area became colonized by humans after they pushed through the mountains. We're working on the rival cities because I think if I'm gonna run a campaign, I want to run it in the rival cities because like that just looks like a fun map to run stuff in. Plus, you've also got like the dwarves up here, so I could talk about dwarven economics and how it would fuck over any sort of human civilization that was near it. Like, okay, so kinda. Howdy, Zeron. How you doing? So I don't really have like a set like I'm moving through like the timeline. So obviously, like the writing that we have right now is like the prehistory, like the definitive lore. No, I haven't. I haven't Zeron, and I don't want to because it's a Soviet in there. So we have like the first stage is like the pre like the prehistory. Like this is all the prehistory stuff. This is like before humanity really wrote anything. So a lot of the histories and mythology that humans have are probably not going to be very accurate or going to be co-opted by gods. This area up here. Well, no. So humanity as a whole. So okay, in my head, right? In my head, humanity basically ruled. So in my head, so we merfolk are the So merfolk are where humans came from. So the merfolk, after like everything kind of like settles down and stuff like that, the human cities that were left after all the wars were basically along this coast up here. I've played Hawaii 4. I've played Hawaii 4. The coast's up here, the coast's right here, and then like this coastline down here. Because everything over here is like Triton territory, and then up here is just like wild, untamed savagery. So humanity basically spread across this continent, or started spreading across this continent. I haven't decided what kept them from really pushing in here. Probably the dwarves, or maybe something like out here. But yeah, they basically expanded and took over all of this, save for the mangrove forest, which is full of like lizard folk and stuff. Then the elves and the hobgoblins showed up, and the humans didn't have a place to go, so they got pushed like right here. They got like squeezed against the hobgoblins and the elves and wiped out. So that left humans up here, and then over time. Well, I don't want this desert to evolve. Like, I want this desert to have been more like grasslands, and then it became desert at some point. Like the Sahara. Like the Sahara originally supported life, and then stuff happened, and it didn't really support life. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So basically, in my head, I've settled on the idea that a bunch of humans went over these mountains. No, this would have been like thousands of years ago. This would have been like a long time ago. Like this would have been like before. This would have been before. I feel like the coming of the elves but so the elves in D&D came from the Feywild. What I like the idea of is as like the Feywild opens up and like enters into the physical world, some of that magic breeds with the magic of the world, and that creates fuck. Okay, I need to. Okay, kinda. That may be a subconscious inspiration. Okay, so I need to take a step back. So I haven't written this down yet, but basically, I have this idea that the Aboleth eventually, like all of the elder races, basically either are exterminated or recede. So the dragons either fly up like just really high into the sky and basically exist in what is effectively the astral plane, and just to start hanging out there, except for ones that kind of like stick around for whatever reason. The giants either slowly die off or turn to stone or like go into like mountains or volcanoes and stuff. The crows are fucking exterminated because they can't be allowed to exist. And then the aboleths recede into the deeps. Well, it depends. Are you a Sumerian? At which point it's probably a -6. Are you a noble in the rival cities? It's probably an 11 out of 5. So it really depends on where you are. But so then the Aboleths receded into the depths, and down there they began to they put themselves to sleep to wait for a time where they could rise up again. And as they slept, the psychic energy of the Aboleths created the dreaming. And so whenever someone goes to sleep, they are pulled into the dreaming. And that is one place where like dreams and nightmares are born. And I like to think that from the dreaming, which is basically like a layer, but so okay. Okay, I'm gonna come out here and basically explain things. So we have this intersect so we have like the intersection point of like the different again, it's complicated. So I need to like break down how I view this world working. Fuck, I was supposed to be building up this world, but now we're just kind of like talking about stuff. Okay, you've got like you've got like the four elemental planes, right? Like earth, fire, water, air, all coalesce, and that creates here, let me get a different color. Those all coalesce, and that creates like the central plane, right? That creates the central plane. So the wars in the absolute and then around absolutely everything is a pool of magic. It is just an eternal source of magic that has just always been there. Maybe the elemental realms came from it, maybe they didn't, but they all pool around the magic all pools around and they sprout off and they touch this, right? Yeah, absolutely. No. I understand that. I'm just making sure to like break this down. So you have like the realms of magic, maybe from the realms of magic, you have like the elemental realms came to be, and their collection created the physical realm. The physical realm, the violence upon the physical realm created two things. First, it created death, this like little central point, and it also created um like the nightmare realm where terror exists. So you've got all that. If you go, if you go beneath the fit, so if you, okay, crap. So if, okay, I need to like actually, I need to make sure to make room for things. So okay, so you've got the terror realm, which is like outside, which is like the edges. It's the fringe of the known of the reality. Within beneath reality, you have what is known as the dreaming, which I am just stealing from Bone. I am just stealing from Bone. You have the dreaming. So that's where like that's where like dreams come from and stuff like that. Well, at I'm get I don't I'm guessing at like an intersection point with like the magic that created the Fey realm. And so the Fey realm became a lair around all of this. And that it's like a place where merriment and dreams came to be. Okay, fuck. No, I'm remembering now. Okay, no. I'm remembering now. Okay. This is just super freaking okay. So okay, this is overly comp. Okay, I don't really know how to represent this very well, so I'm just gonna add some like stripes or something. So we have the physical realm. When the aboleth receded and they began to dream, and they created the dreaming, which also birthed a god. The dreaming, I guess the dreaming actually should be the thing that's around it. So the dreaming is technically beneath reality. Fuck. Okay. So the dreaming is beneath reality. The dreaming is absolutely beneath reality. That like that's what's going on. And from the dreaming, you have two realms exist. Around everything, coalescing on the outside of the realms, you have like you have the nightmares. And this is where like this is where if we come back over here, how like the world works, where as you get closer in, everything gets warmer, and as you go further out, everything gets colder. Once you get out of the cold, you enter into like the realm of shades or whatever I called it, like the mists out here. Like, it's a place where magic bleeds into the physical world, and the more powerful emotions, which is fear. Yeah, I am. I'm actually having a yes, I am having a stroke. I absolutely am having a stroke. Fear bleeds into the world. But scattered you've also got like scattered throughout and like connecting to things. And then all of these are like magically connected. You have pockets of jubilance and joy and happiness and things like that, and that is the Fey realm. So like kind of like a twisting vine almost, like just kind of like a weed wrapping itself around the physical realm in like a hug. You've got the Feywild, where joy and happiness and stuff, where like all the positive emotions went, and then you have all the super negative emotions are in the realm of the like the mist realm, the realm of fear and stuff like that. So then, after a certain point, when everything kind of started calming down in the physical realm, branches from the Feywild began to breach into the real world. This isn't an actual map, okay? This is a metaphysical representation of things. Began to breach into the real world. One of those breaches, one of those breaches popped up like right here, and a bunch of elves flooded through. Another of those breaches popped up here, and goblinoids breached through. And they basically began to fight over this continent. Well, the gods aren't around yet. The gods are not around yet, I would say. The gods absolutely are not around yet. And so the elves showed up, and they basically started like conquering all the humans and stuff like that, and driving out the humans. The hobgoblins drove out the humans, um, and stuff like that. I don't really know what's living up in these mountains, but so here you have Dragonborn. The kobolds went underground, and the Noralites, which are a third-party race, that I love using, are up here in their little fortresses. And so this continent kind of like just settles down. Sea elves moved into here, but the merfolk were able to like drive them off. Dark elves live up here. Poland rule this ocean. They can't push in and drive out the Tritons. They can't really, and they kind of like have a border zone with some of the monsters out here in the open seas. And that's basically how things went from there. So humans got wiped out on this continent. Up here, humanity continued to exist. They've basically did a bunch of Europe shit here. This is probably going to be the oldest and most developed kingdom. This is probably going to be where you have a lot of like the crazy wild magic stuff going on. Um, Up here, I need to think of a reason why it's in freaking like Bronze Age, because we have Sparta and we have Samaria. But yeah, this is going to be like sword and sorcery type stuff. I don't have a plan for this yet, other than it's dinosaurs. But so then people moved over here, and this is just like the ultimate intersection point of trade because you've got um, you because you've got like right here, you've got the dwarves bringing their goods down here. And then for the elves that like want to sail up here, they'll be able to get dwarven goods, and then these humans will be able to sell dwarven good or elven goods to the dwarves. It's just a solid trade seat. It's just an absolutely solid trade seat. And then with like either let sea-based trade from these humans, they can also get dwarven goods, or they can also get like it's just a solid spot for a city. It's just a very solid spot for a city. So while all these other cities kind of like fell or like became unimportant, this city massively grew. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about here. One of the absolute like first settlements. Maybe. I'll think about it. So one of the absolute first settlements, and probably a settlement that would still be around. Oh, for those who don't know, this is what Anderson just said about like what's maybe going on. Well, no, because we got crow worshipping samurai up here, and I mean they'd be able to affect this coastline, but they wouldn't be able to affect this coastline. I don't either, Anderson. I just know that they exist. Listen, okay. Do you want to see the gods? Do you want to see the only gods I've actually gotten written down? Hold on, let me find it. Nature of the world, deities. Here we go. Okay, so deities for right here. The only deities that I've got written down are for the rival cities. We have Salune or Umberly. Salune being like the general god of good things, and then Umberly being like an evil sea god. And that is why this city popped up because these people wanted to worship an evil god. And these people were like, no, you can't worship an evil god because it's evil. And they had a little civil war. These people lost. They fled. They built their own little colony here. And they're just too freaking violent to be conquered. And then the line was created originally as a literal bridge to try to reunify the cities, to get them to work together. That didn't work, and so they repurposed the line into a wall to protect the rival cities from the Red Isle and from the Dark Isle and from these people, and just in general to protect them from bad things. That could work. That could. Ooh. Okay. Hold on. Okay, if we're gonna do that, if we're gonna talk about that, okay, Anderson. If we're gonna talk a god of stagnation, Anderson, if we're gonna talk a god of stagnation, we need to boot up Dominions. Anderson, if we're going to talk God of Death Stagnation, we're booting up Dominions. Okay, we're doing this. Anderson, we are, yeah. We're booting up Dominions, Anderson. Is it working, Anderson? Yeah, it's working. Okay. Create a pretender god, early ages. Boom. Okay, so we need like a bronze. So we're building like a desert type Bronze Age civilization. Which of these is desert like bronze civilization? Henom. And let me close that. Those are giant people. Giants don't live there though. Ubar. Genon? No, don't want that. Phlegra? Hmm. Um, I've got it. Okay. We got it. We got it. Anderson, we got it. We got it. Anderson, we got it. Antana, we got it. We got it, Anderson. We got it. Did I cook it up? Yeah, it's hooked up right. Anderson, we got it. We got the plan. We got it. Hot. We got it. Hot. I need to find if there's a good giant deity for this. If we don't got a good giant deity for this, deities. Uh, the big bad evil deity. Uh, a giant deity that eats everything. So we got like this so you basically have this that eats everything. Uh, the effect of his dominance is that the land is super damn dangerous and full of monstrous things.
So basically, what's happening is like these cities don't have the time to be doing fun. Like you had a great human civilization, then this god woke up or like did something, devoured the essence of like the desert, devoured the yeah, basically devoured the essence of the desert, and then just like all of these cities are too busy dealing with like manticores and chimeras and stuff like that. So like you basically have these fortress cities, and then traveling between them is like fucking frontier times, but with okay, we're hold on, we got uh the Northern Territories. Okay, a frontier-like region that once boasted, I can't spell boasted one of the greatest kingdoms of man to ever exist. Then the tyrant. Ooh, I like the name. The tyrant. The tyrant. The tyrant. The tyrant is a good name. Uh, tyrant. Okay, doing tyrant. But then the tyrant awoke, a giant of great power from the first age, and he devoured much of the realm. But he drank of the seas, and he ate of the fields, and the realm became drowned in sands. Satiated, the giant returned to his slumber, but his effects upon the realm remain. Um, from his flesh, I don't know. We might give him a better name. I'm just doing the tyrant right now. From his flesh, monsters were born, and they bred and terrorized the land. The only cities left are the ones that built great fortresses and house the mightiest of warriors. Farming is done swiftly, effectively, and vigilantly before retreating back to the fortresses. So we've got what time is it? I need to check what time it is because they're going to stream in a bit. Okay. I'm going to be hopping off in maybe the next 5 minutes to get ready for my other stream. But so that's what each of these like big cities have done. And I mean, honestly, that actually makes a lot of sense because, like, so these guys would have to go through the Sunrise Lands. The Sunrise Lands are Japanese. The Japanese have a lot of pirates. Also, these people worship the crows, so they're not going to be nice people. So it's not really. So there is some trade, but not a lot of trade. Meaning like they've been cut off from this side. So they would basically be developing very independently, and trying to like do anything in the world is going to be incredibly freaking difficult for them. But you'll have like ancient ruins scattered about that would make great adventure fall. I like this. I like this. I like this. This is cool. I like this. I like this. I like this. This is cool. That's too small. That's too big. Let's just we'll put like a ruin there. Yeah, like that. That's cool. That's really cool. This would honestly be like a really good like freaking like D&D setting. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. You got like the Japanese right there. Okay, so we haven't really done too much. We didn't really do a lot of what I wanted to do. That's mostly because I started this stream late because I'm a fucking schizophrenic who was doing something responsible. I was focused on schoolwork because I'm a schizophrenic. Anyway, yeah. Thank you, Anderson. Thank you, Zeron, for being in the chat. And if there was anyone who is watching this as a VOD, sorry again for the short length. And sorry for the total schizophrenia I display. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to have a good day. See you next time. And if you're watching live, if you're lurking, or if you're active in the chat, hop on over to Legion Talk, where you guys can see. Thank you, Anderson. Thank you. I don't know why you're calling me a Ken. I'm not Knuff, but thank you. Hop on over to Legion Talk for Monday night's Game of Thrones. We are on season 7, episode 4, and then check us out over on. Yeah, I don't want to be in the next Barbie movie because I'll be called a fucking misogynist if I do good. And then check us out on Friday night's Royal Rumble, where we'll be talking a lot about pop culture. No clue what's going on this week. And if you're watching this VOD 2 years later, well, I mean, go check it out. It's probably still going to be a good stream even 2 years later. Later, y'all folks. Later, y'all folks. I need to take a Xanax, probably. Later, y'all. Have a good time, folks.